Ismael El Mayo Zambada Garcia, co-founder and leader of Mexico's Sinaloa Cartel, is a drug kingpin whose reign fueled a trail of violence. With thousands killed in cartel wars, executions, and massacres tied to his empire, from brutal beheadings to mass graves filled with mutilated bodies, his organization's grip on the drug trade, trafficking fentanyl, cocaine, heroin, and methamphetamine, left entire communities shattered. In this documentary, we'll dissect Zambada's crimes through the lens of psychology and psychoanalysis, exploring the mind of a man whose calculated brutality defined an era of terror. Why zeroing on El Mayo? Because his brand of evil isn't just about bloodshed. It's a psychological labyrinth, a chilling glimpse into a mind that orchestrated horror while staying in the shadows. Unlike serial killers who stalk with knives, Zambada's weapon was power, his orders sparking atrocities that turned Sinaloa into a war zone. Picture this. Culiacan, 2019. The streets erupting in chaos during the Culiacanazo. Gunmen with .50 caliber rifles and rocket launchers spray bullets. Cars burn. Bodies slump in the gutters. Over 30 dead in hours. All to protect Zambada's ally, Ovidio Guzman. Or rewind to 2010. A mass grave in Durango. 64 corpses, some decapitated, others burned, uncovered by police, linked to Sinaloa's turf wars. Zambada didn't pull the triggers, but his word was law. His cartel's fentanyl trade alone is blamed for 70,000 U.S. overdoses yearly, a silent massacre. From torturing rivals to ordering hits on politicians, like Hector Cuen, gunned down in 2024. These weren't just crimes. They were a mastermind's chess moves, making Zambada a perfect case for psychological dissection. Let's step into the darkness. Born in 1948 in El Álamo, a dusty speck in Sinaloa's mountains, Ismael Zambada wasn't born a monster. He grew up poor, one of 7 kids, scraping by on a farmer's wage. His father was strict, his mother devout, but details are scarce. Zambada's early life is a ghost story, shrouded by his own design. Psychologists might point to this rural, hard-scrabble upbringing as fertile ground for narcissistic personality disorder, where a kid learns to dominate to survive. No records show abuse, but the Golden Triangle, Sinaloa, Durango, Chihuahua, was a lawless place, where violence was currency. As a teen, Zambada dropped out, barely literate, working as a farmhand. By his 20s, he was an enforcer for the Juárez Cartel, a foot soldier learning the trade of blood and betrayal. What shaped him? Psychoanalyst Carl Jung might say Zambada's shadow self, the dark, primal urges we all suppress, found a home in Sinaloa's chaos. Unlike his flamboyant partner, Joaquin El Chapo Guzman, Zambada was a strategist, the quiet deal-maker. His low profile wasn't just tactics. It screamed paranoid personality disorder, a constant fear of betrayal. He once told journalist Julio Scherer in 2010, "The idea of being jailed gives me panic." This wasn't cowardice. It was a mind wired for control, every move calculated to avoid the cage. His marriage to Rosario Niebla and their 6 kids grounded him. But even family was a tool. His sons, Vicente, Serafin, Ismael Jr., were groomed for the cartel, their loyalty ensured by blood and fear. Zambada's rise in the 1980s, after the Guadalajara cartel's collapse, was a psychological power grab. He co-founded the Sinaloa Cartel with El Chapo, but where Chapo craved fame, Zambada craved control. Psychoanalysts might see this as omnipotence, a belief he could bend the world to his will. His cartel didn't just traffic drugs. It corrupted governors, bribed police, and built a shadow state. A 2009 U.S. indictment called him unique, a kingpin who never saw a jail cell, his empire untouchable. But power came at a cost. The 2017 attack by rival Damaso Lopez, who ambushed Zambada's convoy, left him shaken, his paranoia spiking. He saw enemies everywhere, rivals, cops, even allies. Why did he kill? Zambada wasn't a hands-on murderer, but his orders were death sentences. FBI profiler Robert Ressler's work on organized crime suggests men like Zambada fit the power control typology, killing to maintain dominance. His cartel's violence, beheadings, torture, mass executions wasn't random. It was theater, a message to rivals and traitors. Take the 2011 Los Zetas massacre, 193 bodies, many migrants, found in Tamaulipas. Throats slit, heads bashed, linked to Sinaloa's turf war. A survivor told Reuters. They laughed as they cut them like it was a game. Zambada's role? The puppet master, greenlighting the slaughter to secure smuggling routes. His dehumanization of victims, per psychoanalytic theory, let him see them as obstacles, not people. Victim selection was strategic, not personal. Politicians like Hector Cuen, killed in July 2024, were targeted for defying cartel influence. Cuen, a Sinaloa deputy, was lured to a ranch, shot 4 times, his body dumped to fake a robbery. Zambada's letter, published post-arrest, claimed Cuen was his friend, killed by rivals, but Mexican prosecutors tied the hit to his orders, a warning to others. Rivals face worse. In 2008, Sinaloa gunmen left 12 heads in Yucatan, a cartel signature. Civilians caught in the crossfire, migrants, families, journalists, were collateral damage. A 2024 Washington Post report noted 400 deaths in Sinaloa post-arrest, as factions fought for Zambada's throne. His violence wasn't sadistic. It was cold, a means to an end. The methods were grotesque, designed to terrify. Sinaloa's enforcers used narco tanks, armored trucks with mounted guns, to mow down rivals. Torture videos, shared on X, showed victims burned alive, flayed, or dissolved in acid. A 2010 police report from Culiacan described a cartel hit. Victims' face removed, sewn onto a soccer ball, left outside a school. Zambada didn't wield the knife, but his nod sparked these horrors. Psychoanalyst Melanie Klein might call this splitting, where Zambada detached from the carnage, seeing himself as a businessman, not a butcher. His fentanyl trade, flooding the U.S. with 70,000 overdoses yearly, was another weapon, slow, invisible, but devastating. DEA chief in Milgram said, Sinaloa's drugs kill from coast to coast. Media painted Zambada as a ghost. A 2010 Preciso interview called him the invisible capo, his low profile a shield. After El Chapo's 2016 arrest, posts on X buzz with fear. El Mayo's still out there, running everything. His mystique grew, but so did the body count. In 2024, Culiacan became a ghost town, but a Washington Post, as gunmen loyal to Zambada clashed with Chapo's sons. Residents hid, schools closed, bodies piled up, 230 in weeks. A local told Reuters, you hear gunshots at night and pray it's not your family. Zambada's shadow loomed, his absence as deadly as his presence. What drove him? Malignant narcissism, psychologists might argue, where ego and power fuse into cruelty. Zambada's wealth, billions laundered through fake companies, fed his God complex. A 2024 U.S. Treasury report linked his cartel to government contracts, proof of his reach. Yet his paranoia kept him isolated, trusting only family. Freud might see this as a death drive, a subconscious pull toward destruction, his empire a monument to chaos. His avoidance of violence's spotlight suggests repression, burying guilt to maintain his strategist facade. Unlike sadistic killers, Zambada's thrill with control, not bloodlust. The end came fast. On July 25, 2024, Zambada, 76 and frail, boarded a private plane with Joaquin Guzman Lopez, El Chapo's son. He thought they were scouting airstrips in Mexico. Instead, the plane landed in El Paso, Texas, where FBI agents waited. Guzman Lopez had betrayed him, possibly cutting a deal. Zambada's lawyer, Frank Perez, called it a kidnapping. Zambada's letter claimed he was hooded, cuffed, and forced aboard. He pleaded not guilty to drug trafficking, money laundering, and murder conspiracy. A 2024 CNN report described him wheeled into court, a shadow of the kingpin who dodged capture for 35 years. His arrest sparked chaos in Sinaloa, gunfights, 400 dead, a cartel civil war. In court, Zambada faces life, his empire crumbling. His son, Ismael Jr., remains free, possibly his heir, but the cartel's future is bloody. Mexican prosecutors mull treason charges against Guzman Lopez, a rare move, per ABC News. U.S. Ambassador Ken Salazar admitted the arrest strained ties with Mexico, who weren't warned. Zambada's fear prison, voiced in 2010, became reality. A former DEA agent told BBC, he's old, sick, and terrified of jail. His silence now, whether he'll cooperate, haunts Mexico's elite who fear his secrets. Philosophically, Zambada's life is a study in hubris. Existentialist Albert Camus might call him an absurd hero, chasing meaning through power, only to meet betrayal. His empire, built on control, collapsed when trust failed, a Nietzschean irony, where the power breeds its own downfall. Was he evil, or a product of Sinaloa's lawless code? Philosopher Hannah Arendt's banality of evil fits. Zambada wasn't a demon, but a man who normalized horror, his crimes bureaucratic, not passionate. His legacy asks, does absolute power always corrupt, or does it reveal what was always there? Zambada's story isn't just a cartel saga. It's a mirror. His mind, paranoid, narcissistic, calculating, shows how far man can fall when power becomes God. As Culiacan burns, his shadow lingers, a reminder that some monsters don't need knives to kill. Lock your doors, check the news, and wonder, who's next in the Golden Triangle's bloody game?